Hello. I want to talk about pop astrology again. By that, I mean pop stars astrology. Today, I want to talk about Selena Gomez, and in particular, because I've been listening to her song called Vulnerable again recently. The song came out in 2020, but when I listened to it for the first time again yesterday, it felt like it had come out like 10 years ago. There's something super nostalgic about Selena Gomez as a person to millennials, to I think semi-young people too, because she was one of the Disney people. Anyone in the world who grew up even at least a little bit watching Disney, there's this just immediate like path to nostalgia and growing up in childhood, when I at least think about Selena Gomez and even her music, her voice itself. And so I was listening to the song Vulnerable, which the word vulnerable repeats. I didn't even count how many times, but over and over and over and over again. Um, Selena Gomez has a Cancer sun, um, like me. um, And Selena Gomez's Cancer Sun is in the 12th house, ruled by an Aries moon in the ninth. So Cancer is like vulnerable would be the word for the sign of Cancer. And yet there is a urgency or like a confidence with which she can speak to vulnerability, which I think is very much so within the Aries moon archetype in the ninth house, like kind of the philosophy about selfhood in love, which is very much so up my alley, up many of our alleys as we continue into this world, navigating where we begin, where another person ends, what relationship is for at all. So I'll show you the lyrics quickly of this song. Um, that's the chart, which I'll go back to, but here are the lyrics. If I give you every piece of me, I know that you could drop it. Um, give you the chance, I know you could take advantage once you got it. If I open up my heart to you, I know that you could lock it, throw away the key, and keep it there forever in your pocket. So she's like, I know what I'm stepping into when I'm stepping into love or deep connection with someone. I know all of these kind of like terrible things that are potential, you know, quote unquote terrible. But and here she is articulating them to us. Um, this is great. If I show you all my demons and we dive into the deep end, would we crash and burn like every time before? I would tell you all my secrets, wrap your arms around my weakness. And this is the part that I think is most important and interesting about this song. If the only other option is letting go, I'll stay vulnerable. If the only other option is letting go, I'll stay vulnerable. So she's like in this song committing to staying in love, staying in romantic relationship despite all of these kind of terrible things, locking up your heart, someone feeling like someone else owns her heart and she can't get it back. Like dropping every piece of her, shattering every piece of her, it's serious if you really think about it. um Sex comes into play. If I let you cross my finish line, then would you want to make it? Maybe it's sex. It's always sex except it's sex, right? That's a beautiful quote I actually learned about in high school. uh there is this book, I forgot it, but it said everything is about sex except sex itself. um anyway, um so there's a lot of sexual innuendo, a lot of like sensuality at play here, but ultimately it's this like deep meditation on what does it actually mean to let go. Because intuitively, I actually don't think that letting go is the same, or I wouldn't contrast letting go to staying vulnerable. So right, she's saying if the only other option in this challenging relationship is letting go, then I'm choosing to stay vulnerable, as though those are the two options. You either let go or you don't. You hold on. So somehow holding on is staying vulnerable. And oddly enough, my experience in similar situations is that letting go is actually more vulnerable than not. So I was curious to like look at her chart and understand her own emotional kind of psychology, because for me, like I said, it's very unintuitive to contrast letting go with staying vulnerable. I fully understand it. I fully understand, like, she's in this, song declaring that she would prioritize the relationship above, like, her being in control, or above her feelings, not her, like, her sense of identity not being totally transformed. And there's a lot of red flags here, don't get me wrong, but I like it from a more meta level, kind of just thinking about how different each of us relates to relationship and what it means to be vulnerable in a relationship versus what does it mean to let go and move on from a relationship. Because here it also implies that, like, staying in the relationship is staying vulnerable, and that if she's not in a relationship anymore, then she won't be vulnerable. And obviously, it's very important for her to be vulnerable. So this dynamic, I really like it. So I wanted to look at her birth chart, and I spoke to this briefly just before with her Aries moon. It's like this is a natural square between um, Aries and Cancer, which is, Aries is about individuality. It's about me. It's about knowing who I am, my actions. I'm in charge. It's my direction. Cancer is about, like, the home and the family values and emotions that wax and wane, that kind of bring us into one idea, one set of behaviors, and then we move into a whole different set of behaviors like a few days later because of emotions. So everyone relates to the emotional body different, as well as they relate to their sense of identity and self different. But the natural square says they're kind of at odds with each other, right? Like, to be fully, like, you can't be fully tapped into the waxing and waning of intense emotional experiences if you are dead set on who you are and, like, committed to who you are. But ironically, that moon in Aries rules her sun in Cancer. Her sun in Cancer is also at 29 degrees, which is like the culminating degree of the sign, which would imply there's, like, a lot of maturity, a lot of, like, finishing up of of an emotional identity in this lifetime. And that Aries moon kind of is like, she's telling it how it is. Mars in her chart is in the 10th house in Taurus, which is her artistic identity. Taurus and the 10th house is, like, very much so being famous because Taurus is about the lap of luxury, and the 10th house is about where you're seen. And so, where you're seen in the lap of luxury, that Mars is opposing Pluto in the 4th house, which is just key also to this context of emotions and home and the intensity that she feels around the emotions and home and how important they are to each other. Opposing Mars, it's like she is in a full expression of her soul's will in this lifetime to transform what home means to her, to transform the deepest seat of herself, and to know that her transformative power is the deepest seat of herself and her emotional experience, which might be why she values this vulnerability so much, at least in this song. Right, this is like an emotional warrior. Mars is a warrior, and that the leader, the Mars ruling the moon in Aries. So Mars rules the moon, but the moon rules the sun, and then Venus rules her ascendant in Leo, and Mercury retrograde. So okay, that's even better. I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about, wow, she must have a very strong Mercury, but it's a strange mercurial function because she always seems to be even more reflective and, like, nostalgic and in the past, more than even other celebrities who maybe were in a similar Disney setup, right? Selena Gomez is someone who just is an instant, she brings you back. Even in her most modern or like updated songs, this is like a function of Mercury retrograde conjunct Venus on the ascendant. She's seen for her beauty and her voice, but she sings about love, which is very much so Mercury conjunct Venus, but she's also an actress, which is very Leo, shining creatively. And that sun in the 12th house, the mysterious, emotional, kind of culminative quality of her life, um, is just really pronounced and really profound. And I was also curious to see, and also, it's her moon is squaring Uranus and Neptune, which is a lot of, health instability. We know she's had that in her life. Anyway, the last thing I'll say about Selena Gomez is this: she's got a lot of songs about being single or having a boyfriend or wanting a boyfriend. Partnership is very important to her, but she seems to like have this public persona around not having a partner or whatever. And I think she's dating someone now, but in any case, it doesn't really matter. She has Saturn in the ascendant, or sorry, Saturn in the seventh house, which implies or reflects there being a lot of like potentially waiting and maturity, a maturation process that is required before partnership, but also that she takes partnership very, very seriously. And it is like her relationships are her largest lessons in this life with that in Aquarius. And so, well, not the Aquarius function, but Saturn is our biggest, like our biggest and hardest earned wins and lessons. And so, definitely her love, her relationships, her nostalgia, um, is just so profound. And I'll just say the South Node in Gemini there is ruled by the Mercury. Um, and So she's been doing this for some time. She's been connected for probably several lifetimes to groups of people that she's speaking to, in almost a artistic way about the feminine, about love, about like really, really expressing feminine qualities. She's been doing that for lifetimes with this signature and with a North Node in Sagittarius, which is ruled by her Jupiter in Virgo there. She's really learning in this lifetime. She's really working towards that growth of devotional resources, I would say. There's like, she has a lot of good intuition, natural intuition around the material earthly world and kind of devoting herself to that. And that's kind of where she's going in this lifetime. So it's an interesting thing to consider. So much I think is being funneled through that South Node, though. There's a lot of South Node work happening for Selena in this lifetime around communicating, rethinking what it means to perform the feminine, rethinking what it means to reclaiming even really her individuality versus her like spirituality, her connectedness to her emotions and expansiveness. So anyway, I love to see it because I love this whole Aries Cancer dynamic in anyone's life. It's strong for me too in my chart. So I think that's why I resonate with even these super mega pop stars. So that's all. Hope you enjoyed. And till next time. Bye.